we'll go on to a new topic called Applet. Applets. Now, applets, they are Java programs which do not have a main method. As you all know, your usual Java programs, you will have the main method, that is the thread number one, and that is what is executed. In applets, you will not have a main method, and the applet normally it can run in a web browser. Simply because it runs on the web browser, it will work at the client side, and the response time will be quick. Okay, the loading will happen very quickly, fast response time. Now, even though they do not have any main method and they run in your client-side web browser, you will need a JVM. Just like your any normal Java program, they will be saved in a .java extension. Once you compile them, you should be compiling them. You should be compiling them with your JVM. Once you compile them, you will be getting a class file. You will be getting a .class file. Bytecode will be generated as usual. Once all this is done, simply because you do not have a main method, you have a few other methods which are being called so that the applet runs in your web browser. Now, because you do not have the main method, instead, you do have a few other methods. Okay. Now, these methods of the applet, they are described in something called the applet life cycle. Now, the main method of an applet is the init method or the initialization method. Okay, the init method, it is called only once. The init method, you call it the initialization method. You write it public void init, I-N-I-T. It is called only once. Now, once you call the initialization method, now you can run your applet and you can see a visible thing, a visible web browser, or you call a window. Now, you even have a start method for that. Start. Init is for initialization. Now, start method, you write it start, S-T-A-R-T, public void start. The moment your browser is maximized, okay, the start method has worked. Very simple. The maximization of your browser, you call it the start method. Okay. Now, once you have the start method, you need to execute. You need to do something called execution. Now, execution, it happens with a method called paint. To paint, like, imagine you have a window over here. You have opened up a window. You have done the initialization. With the help of the start, you have opened up a applet window. Now, you need to have something in this window. Let's say very simple. You need to have a color, or you need to write something, or you need to draw something, or you need to have a button or whatever. All that, you will be doing it through the paint method. And this paint method, it will be working with the help of your graphics package. It will be working with the help of the graphics package. Now, the paint, you will write P-A-I-N-T. That is the paint method. And as I told you, you will be working with the graphics package. And it is in this particular method where all the things will be put onto your window. It could be a writing, it could be a drawing, it could be a video, it could be an audio clip, it could be some buttons, whatever. All the paintings, all the painting jobs or the displaying jobs will happen in your paint method. Now, once you are going on execution, at any point of time, you can stop. You can stop using the stop method. Now, once you stop, you go into a state called idle. Once you stop, you go into a state called idle. And once you are in the idle state, you can again start. You can again start, then you paint, you go on in the execution phase, and so on. Now, to stop, you have a method called stop. Once when you do your minimization of the browser, it is the stop which is actually running. And then at the end, to destroy, to destroy, you have the destroy method, or to kill your applet, you have the destroy method. And once the destroy happens, by default, that is, when you click that exit button, okay, when the browser is closed or that exit button happens, it is actually the destroy button which happens. So I'll quickly go once again. Init, it is called only once you do all the initialization works over there. Once your browser is maximized, you have the start, and then you have the paint to have all your displays and everything. Once you do the stop, it means your browser is minimized. Destroy means your browser is exited. Okay, so you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 methods. You have 5 methods. Okay, you have 5 methods and 4 states. 5 methods and 4 states in your applet: the initialized state, the executable state, the idle state, and then the destroyed state. I'll continue. Now, you might be wondering, how do you create an applet and all that? Now, before we see how you do an applet, let's quickly talk about the applet hierarchy. Okay, so this is what you see on the left. On the right, it is the applet hierarchy. You have the main class object. From the object, we have the subclass component. From component, we have the subclass container. From container, we have the subclass panel. And then from panel, we have applet. JApplet is a subclass of applet. To use applets, you'll have to import java.awt.applet.star. There are 3 ways in which you can do applets. One is using HTML files. The second is using an applet viewer tool. And the third is using an IDE. Like, if you're using Eclipse or NetBeans or whatever, you do it like that. Or using the applet viewer tool, you will be doing it in your command prompt. Okay, you will be doing it in your command prompt. This, let's say, you can do it in your Eclipse or NetBeans. Okay, this you can write your program in. Okay, here we'll write a program in Notepad++, and then run it on the command prompt. Using HTML files means you can write your program either in a Notepad or Notepad++. Here also you can write it in Notepad very much. Using HTML files, you can write it in Notepad, Notepad++, and you will even have a HTML file. Okay, so let's see how to do all that. What we'll do first is we will run it using the applet viewer tool. Second, we will run it using an IDE. And third, we will run it using a HTML file. Now, why I am going third for HTML file is this is actually a very conventional way. The old way to do things, when the applet started, this was how they were doing it. But now the problem is your browsers are very advanced. Okay. So, all browsers, they need not support applets. If your browser is of a lower version, very much you will be able to do it. But I put a star over here because my browsers, they are of the latest versions. So very simple, I cannot run Applet because Applet is actually an obsolete technology. It is an old technology which isn't used much. So, very recent updated browsers, you will have a problem running it. But as I told you earlier, if your browsers are old, if you have not updated your browsers, uh, it will work fine. So that is again a problem of applets. The execution of applets using your HTML files, it depends upon the browser security. It depends upon the browser security. So that is a problem of running applets. You might have heard about something called sandbox security. Sandbox. Okay, so that is the security mechanism which governs browsers, applets and their compatibility with browsers. Now, I do have a Notepad++. I'll just make it a bit bigger. Yeah, okay, looks good. Now, let's write your applet program. Okay, so I'll just have a public class. It's interesting, you don't have a main in your applets. So I'll just give any name. Let's say applet demo. Okay, applet demo. I'll start writing it. Okay. Now, as I told you earlier, there are a few methods. You do have a method called init. You do have start. You do have paint. You do have stop. And you do have destroy. These are the methods you have in applets, out of the which start, stop, and destroy, you need not write it explicitly. By default, it would be called, but you need to explicitly write methods for init and paint. Okay, so first I'll write my init method. I'll have to initialize. So I'll just simply write, just as in the PPT, public void init. Okay, I have a method called public void init, and here all what I'm doing is, let's say, I'll give a color. I'll give a color for my applet. You can use methods called set background. You can give any color. Let's say I give a yellow color, color dot yellow. Okay, I give a color dot yellow. I'll just do some importings so that import java dot applet dot star. Okay, and yeah, I'll just save my program so that file save as. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll create a new folder and then put my applet programs inside that, my app. Okay, and then here, what was my program name? Applet demo, appletdemo dot java. Okay, now looks better. So I've set the background color yellow. I'll even set a foreground. Set foreground color, let's say color dot, I'll go say red. That's good, very colorful. Okay, so I've set colors for my applet. Okay, I've finished my init. Now I need to have a paint method. Now I need to have a paint method. Okay, so I'll write my paint method, public void init. I'll even have public void paint. Now this is where I am going to paint. Now all what I do is, all what I've done here is I've set a background, I've set a foreground for my applet. Now I need to have things in my applet. Now the paint method, it will always take in my graphics package. Let's say I'll just give GRA, or okay, graphics GRA, and now painting, it happens on my graphics object. All my paint happens on my graphics object. Now you do have a few methods like draw string and all that. Now if you want to write something onto your applet, your SOP will not work. You will have to draw string. Okay, have a string displayed. Now the string display, it will have 3 arguments. It will have 3 arguments. The first argument will be whatever string you want to display. Let's say hello world. Okay. And the second argument is at what coordinate do you want it to be displayed? The string, and then, so it will be, 100, somewhere over here. Okay. 100 position. The same way you can even set your set a font dot set font. Okay. You can say, let's say Arial font. I want it bold. So I'll give font. Oh, I think it is small at anyway. Yeah, font dot bold. Don't have bold dot let's see, dot bold, and let's say I give a font size of 28. Okay, so you can set all these, and then you have drawn the string. Now these are the basic things. You need to have an init method, and you even need to have a paint method. I'll just import a few more things over here. Import java.awt.star. Okay, I'll just save this. Okay, so now I've done my applet methods. So if you look back into your PPT, I've done this portion. This portion is over. I've done with my init method. I've even done with my paint method. So inside my applet, what all I want, I am done with it. Now let's come back over here. Okay, if you look here, Applets, as I told you, it runs in a web browser, and it was designed to be embedded inside a HTML page. It was designed to be embedded in a HTML page. So very simple. You should have an applet code over here. You should have an applet, a HTML, a web browser page code coming up over here. Now, how you write it is very simple. You write it in your comments. Okay. But interestingly, even though you write it in comments, your applet code, okay, you write it like this, applet code. Okay, and then just like any other HTML tag, you end it up. Okay, so I imagine you have dealt with HTML tags. Whichever tag you have, you will be ending it up with a backslash. Okay, imagine you are having a body. Okay, you will be even ending up the body. Similarly, your title or whatever. Just the same way here, I'm creating an applet tag. So I'm opening it up, applet code. I'm even ending it up with a uh, slash over here. Now, even though you write it in your comments, the applet code will be taken by the JVM. So you need not worry and get tense that, oh my God, how will it be taken if I've given it in a comment? Because this is usually something which you use for comment, but don't worry, your JVM knows that even though it is in the comment, and it starts with applet and ends with the backslash applet, it needs to be taken. Now this is where you design your applet. So I write applet code is equal to, in quotes you will have to write your class name. Okay, I forgot something. Class applet demo extends applet. Okay, I forgot that. Okay, applet demo extends applet, because you're doing an applet program. So you'll have to write applet code equal to applet demo, the same name. You should be even specifying the width and the height. Let's say I give a random width of 1000, and I even give a random height, just like to design a HTML page. Okay, so I've designed an applet window. applet window, and I tell, take the code from the class applet demo. Have a width of 1000, have a height of 1000. I have an init method where I've set the colors, and now I am having my writings, very simple writings, hello world. I'll just save my program. Now let's run it, which means you'll have to take your command prompt. Open up your command prompt. Okay, so I've saved it in my E drive. I've saved it in CD my app. Okay. So what was my program name? Applet demo. Compile your applet demo. Okay. You have an error in dot font. Okay. Arial set font, new font. Okay, you've got to create a new font. Okay, let's save it. Let me just check my brackets. Okay. I'll go back. Let's compile it once again. Okay, looks good, looks good. Now my program has been compiled, fine. Now let's take your folder. Let's take up the folder. Okay, now I've opened up my E drive, my app. Now look here, this is your program. A class file is generated by your JVM. So just like any normal program, even in your applets, you will be generating a class file. Okay, so this is the first thing what you'll have to do. You will have to go to your command prompt and compile your program, make it error free, and see that you have a class file generated. Now, if you go into your C drive and let's open up our program files, Java, JDK, bin. Okay. Now, if you go into this particular location, C program files, Java, JDK, bin, you'll find a lot of tools over here. Okay. Like for example, you'll find your Java C, your compiler. This is your Java. You'll find lots of jar files. All these things will be there. Together with that, you will even find an applet viewer tool. Applet viewer. This is a tool. Okay, just like your Java C, you even have a tool called Applet Viewer, and this is the tool which helps you to see your applet. Okay, so you will have it in your JDK bin. Otherwise, other things would not have worked. You will have it over here. So anyway, let's come back. Let's come back to our command prompt. Now let us run our applet. To run our applet, type applet viewer, and then give the name of casing should be correct, appletdemo.java. Okay. So, my applet 1000 by 1000, yellow with things in red, and all my fonting scheme. Arial, yeah, this is an Arial font, huge, 28 color, bold, came up. So this is how you display an applet. Okay, I'll just go back. This is the first method, how you see an applet using the applet viewer tool. Okay, method number 2, how do you do it in your IDE? I'll just create a new, I'll go for a project. I'll create a new project. Let's say my app demo. Okay. I'll go into my source, new. Okay. Other, none of these, other. Okay. In your window builder, swing designer, don't go for application window and all these will give you things with a main. With a main. As I told you, your applets don't have a main. So simply go for JApplet. Next, give a name. Let's say hello applet. Finish it off. Okay, look here, interesting. You get something without a main. You will be getting something without a main. I'll just go very easy. I'll open up my notepad. I'll take this. Okay, I've copied it. I'll paste this over here. Okay, the same code will work exactly well over here. But I'll have to change all these names. Hello, applet. Hello, applet. I'll save it. Are you able to see the output?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is how you run it in your IDE. Exactly the same, but don't go for a class or anything else. As I told you, anything else if you take up, it will generate you a main. A main thread will be generated by default, which means if you copy your if you write your applet code over there, you will have problems. So go for JApplet. JApplet will generate you code without a main, and then your normal applet program, it will work perfectly fine. Okay, so we are done with the first two. Using the applet viewer, you run it in the command prompt. You write your code either in Notepad++ or your Notepad. Using an IDE, you write it either in your Eclipse or in your NetBeans or whatever, and then you simply run it. And now we'll see the third method, how you do it using your HTML files. Okay, so I'll take my Notepad++ for that. Now, when you want to run it with your HTML files, very simple. You have to create an HTML file. Okay, so I'll just create a simple HTML file. HTML, which means it should even end up with an HTML. Okay, and this applet code now, just copy it over here. The applet code, copy it over here. Let me just check. Applet code is equal to HTML applet demo. Program name is applet demo 1. Okay, dot class. Okay, you did not give dot class over here because it is in the same file. But when you give it in a HTML file, you have to give the dot class because that particular, as I told you, when you go into your folder, you do have a Java file and you do have a class file. So HTML should be very clear which file to take. Your dot class file should be taken. Width is equal to 1000, height is equal to 1000. Okay, okay. Finish off your applet, finish off your HTML, and save it. Save it in the same folder. Okay, save my app. So I'll just give a name, applet demo, applet. Give any name will be fine. Applet HTML. Okay, I'm saving it as a HTML file. Okay, HTML tags are okay, fine. Okay, now let me take up my folder. So I put it in my E drive, my app. Okay, look here. I do have a Java file. I do have a class file. I do even have a HTML file. I'll open up it in Notepad. Yeah, perfect. I do have my HTML file. Now what should happen is you simply double click your HTML. Okay, you have HTML file over here. Simply double click your HTML. You will be getting an applet display. Okay, as I told you, I will not be getting an applet display because my browsers do not support uh, applets. But you can test it whether your browser support it or not. I'll just give some random code over here. My browsers support everything else except HTML. Because as I told you, HTML. Okay, I'll just give a test. This is a test line before applet. Before applet, and I'll just even give one more over here. This is a test line after the applet. After the applet. Okay, I'll save it. It's saved. Let's go back. all that is coming except the applet. Very simple. The browser doesn't support applets. I did try plugging in extensions. There is an extension called Chirp J Applet Runner, but still things aren't working. Very simple. My browser doesn't support it. You could check in your browsers, but it isn't a problem even if your browsers do not support applets. You do have other methods to do applets. So you need not worry about that. Okay.